Every single morning, millions of Americans wake up to the same sound. The alarm. 6 a.m., maybe 5:30 if traffic is bad. You drag yourself out of bed, you grab your coffee, you sit in traffic for 45 minutes. You spend 8 hours doing work that makes someone else rich. You come home exhausted, you pay your bills, and then you do it all over again tomorrow, and next month, the next year, and for the next 30 years. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. 95% of people will spend their entire lives working hard and still die with almost nothing saved. Meanwhile, the top 5% control more wealth than the other 95% combined.
This is not about luck. This is not about where you were born or what family you came from. This is about mindset. J. Paul Getty, once the richest man on earth, said it best. He said, "Wealth is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of decision." Today, I am going to show you exactly how the 5% think differently. And more importantly, how you can start thinking like them, starting today. Stay with me until the end, because the last lesson will completely change how you see money forever. It was 1932. The Great Depression had shattered America. Banks were closing. Factories were empty. Families were standing in bread lines just to eat. The stock market had collapsed by 90%. Everywhere you looked, people were selling everything they had. Their homes, their businesses, their investments, just to survive. Everyone was running away from assets. Everyone was terrified. But J. Paul Getty was running toward them. While the entire country was selling in panic, Getty was buying oil fields. He spent every dollar he had saved purchasing land and drilling rights that other people were desperate to get rid of. His friends thought he was insane. His family warned him he would lose everything. But Getty understood something that 95% of people never figure out. When everyone is running in one direction, the opportunity is always in the opposite direction. 10 years later, those oil fields made Getty one of the wealthiest human beings who had ever lived. Think about 2008. When the housing market crashed and Wall Street collapsed, most Americans panicked and sold everything. But a small group of investors, the 5%, were quietly buying stocks at historic lows. Think about 2020. When COVID shut down the world and markets dropped 35% in 3 weeks, most people pulled their money out of the market in fear. But those who bought during the crash doubled their money within 18 months. Here is what separates the 5% from the 95%. The 95% make financial decisions based on emotion. Fear, panic, excitement, greed, these are the forces that drive their choices. The 5% make financial decisions based on logic and data. When the market drops, they do not see disaster, they see a sale. Warren Buffett said it most simply: be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. The next time you feel the urge to follow the crowd, stop. Ask yourself where the crowd is running, and then look in the opposite direction. That is where the opportunity lives. Let me tell you about two brothers, Michael and David. Both grew up in the same house in Ohio. Same parents, same school, same starting point. At 25, Michael got a good job at a tech company, making $75,000 a year. He was proud. He worked hard, got promoted, and by 35, he was making $120,000 a year. But here is what also happened. Every time Michael got a raise, his lifestyle got bigger. New car, bigger apartment, latest iPhone, nicer vacations. He told himself he deserved it. He had worked hard for it. At 40, Michael was making great money, but he had almost nothing saved. His car payment was $600 a month. His apartment was $2,800 a month. His credit cards carried $18,000 in debt. He was trapped. He couldn't quit. He couldn't take a risk. He couldn't say no to his boss.
because he needed every single paycheck just to stay afloat. Michael was not poor, but he was not free. David took a different path. At 25, David also got a job, making $55,000 a year, less than Michael. But David made one rule for himself from day one. Every month, before he spent a single dollar on anything else, he put 15% of his income into index funds and dividend stocks. He drove a used car. He lived in a modest apartment. His friends teased him. They called him cheap. But by 35, David had $180,000 invested. His dividends were generating $800 a month in passive income, money that came in whether he worked or not. By 40, his investments had grown to $400,000. His passive income covered his rent. He had options. He could take risks. He could say no to jobs he hated. He could start a business without being desperate. Here is the lesson that changes everything. A salary is a ceiling. Your boss decides how high it goes. And no matter how high that ceiling is, if you spend everything you earn, you are still a prisoner. J. Paul Getty called it the expensive slave trap. You might be making $200,000 a year, but if you are spending $200,000 a year, you are just a very well-paid employee who cannot afford to stop working. True wealth is not about how much you earn. It is about how much you keep and how hard that money works for you while you sleep. Start treating savings not as what is left over after spending, but as the first bill you pay every single month. Even if it is $100, even if it is $50, the habit matters more than the amount in the beginning. Because money that is invested is money that is working. And money that is spent on things that lose value, I want you to think about something uncomfortable. You can lose $10,000 and earn it back. You can lose a job and find a better one. You can use a business and build a new one. But you cannot get back a single second of time that is already passed. Not 1 second. There was a man named Robert. Hardworking, honest, a good father. He spent 22 years climbing the corporate ladder, working 60-hour weeks, traveling constantly, missing birthdays and school plays and weekend mornings with his kids, all with the promise that one day, when he retired, he would finally have time for the things that mattered. At 62, Robert retired with a solid pension and $800,000 in savings. He had the money. He had the time. But his kids were grown and living in different states. His health was starting to fail. His knees ached. His eyes were weaker. The energy he had at 35, the energy that would have let him throw a football with his son or hike a trail with his daughter. And you cannot win one while losing the other. Here is what the 5% understand that the 95% do not. The goal is not to retire rich at 65. The goal is to build systems that give you financial freedom while you are still young enough to enjoy it. The wealthiest people in the world do not trade time for money. They build systems that generate money without requiring their time. Index funds that grow automatically, dividend stocks that pay you every quarter, real estate that generates monthly rent, online businesses that run while you sleep. This is what is called the fast lane mindset. Not working harder, not grinding more hours, but building machines, financial machines, that work for you around the clock without needing you to be present. Every hour you spend building a passive income stream today is an hour that pays you back for the rest of your life. Ask yourself this question honestly. 5 years from now, will the way you are spending your time today have given you more freedom or less? Let me introduce you to two colleagues, Jake and Marcus, both 32 years old, both working in finance in Chicago. Jake got a $20,000 raise last year. The first thing he did was lease a BMW. Then he upgraded his apartment. Then he started buying designer clothes because he wanted to look successful at client meetings. Jake looks wealthy. His Instagram looks incredible. People at parties assume he is doing very well. But Jake has $2,200 in savings. He carries $24,000 in credit card debt. If he lost his job tomorrow, he would be in serious trouble within 60 days. Marcus got the same raise. He drives a 2018 Honda Civic. He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. His wardrobe is simple. He does not post much on Instagram. But Marcus has $67,000 invested. He owns shares in 12 dividend-paying companies. Every month, without doing any additional work, $340 lands in his brokerage account. He is building something real, quietly, patiently. J. Paul Getty said money is like a seed. If you eat every seed you plant, you will never grow a tree. You will always be hungry. This is the trap that destroys most Americans financially. We live in a culture that rewards looking wealthy over being wealthy. Social media shows us highlight reels of people who appear rich, and our brains, wired for status and comparison, push us to compete with images that are often funded entirely by debt. The 5% have made peace with something the 95% struggle with. They are willing to look ordinary for years so they can live extraordinarily for decades. Do not buy the luxury car until your investments pay for it. Do not upgrade your lifestyle until your assets generate enough to cover the upgrade. Live simply until your money machine is powerful enough to fund your ambitions. Because the goal is not to look free. The goal is to actually be free. Here is a question for you. Have you ever made a financial decision based on a tip from a friend? A hot stock someone mentioned at dinner? A crypto that someone swore was about to explode? Most of us have, and most of us know how that story ends. There is a critical difference between investing and gambling, and the line between them is knowledge. When J. Paul Getty decided to buy oil fields during the Great Depression, he did not act on rumors or gut feelings. He spent months studying geological surveys. He analyzed production data. He researched which regions had the highest probability of oil beneath the surface. He understood the industry deeply before he risked a single dollar. He was not gambling. He was making calculated decisions based on real information. I want to end with the most important lesson of all. Picture a man at 72, sharp mind, good sense of humor, sitting in a beautiful house with $2 million in the bank. His knees hurt too much to hike the trails he always planned to explore. His eyes are too weak to read without strong glasses. He gets tired by 8 p.m. He has all the money he ever wanted, but the body he needed to enjoy it, the energy, the health, the physical freedom, those belong to a younger version of himself that he sacrificed to earn the money. His children are grown and scattered across the country. The years when they wanted him to show up for homework and ball games and Friday dinners, he was in the office, in airports, on calls. He has money. But what he actually wanted was time, health, and presence. This is not an argument against building wealth. Wealth is powerful. Wealth creates security. Wealth creates options. This is an argument for building wealth intelligently and urgently, so that financial freedom arrives while you are still young enough to use it. The 5% do not work toward a retirement at 65. They build systems that create freedom at 40, at 35, at 30. They invest early. They build passive income streams. They create businesses that operate without them. They design lives where money serves them, rather than lives where they serve money. And here is the final truth that brings everything together. Building real wealth is not about accumulating more stuff. It is not about a bigger house or a faster car or a more impressive portfolio number. The 5% will keep building quietly, patiently, strategically, until one day the machine they built is powerful enough to set them free. Which one are you going to be? The decision starts today, right now, with the next financial choice you make. Choose wisely. If this video made you think differently about money, give it a like. It takes 1 second and it helps more people find this content. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. Every week, we break down the mindset, the strategy, and the psychology behind real financial freedom. Drop a comment right now. Tell me honestly, are you living like the 95% or building like the 5%? I read every single comment.